Hello and welcome to another edition of the Father and Son Pastime podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
That's my dad.
How are you?
We are continuing with our series on the all-time dream team of each MLB franchise. Today's feature is the Houston Astros. We are very deep into doing this. We're probably about 5 or 6 away from being completely complete all 30 MLB franchises. If you're just joining us, if you're just watching it because you're a Houston fan, welcome. There's some requirements to get on these dream teams. At least 3 years of team service time in an Astros uniform, and we're only looking at the Astros themselves. So no Colt 45s if you only did like 3 years for the Colt 45s. Very short window anyways. Cool team name.
Great logo, by the way.
Probably the best in sports history. Plus,
yes.
We'll talk in uniforms eventually too. We'll talk logos.
Yeah.
But the Houston Astros have the best throwback. Well, I guess then was regular uniforms, but now throwback jerseys for me that they've ever in baseball.
I played on a softball team that copied those uniforms. Yeah. Best uniform I ever had.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great colors.
It's wild and it's fun.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 1965 to now in terms of your team. We're loyal to the positions, so it's going to be fun to talk about Craig Biggio. Like, he played enough of those years in center field, second base, catcher. Where do you put him in this lineup?
Yeah.
For example, I couldn't put Craig in, like, third base, for example. Like, he's got to play a position he's known for playing. So without further ado, we do every position. We're going to go DH as well. I didn't know if I told you that, Dad. I know there's been American League and National League teams with the Houston, so we're going to add the DH. A starter, a setup man, a closer, who's going to manage this team, and then, again, we kind of look at talking about logos and uniforms and all that. So that's something I'm looking forward to with Houston.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the Colt 45s because for some reason today I saw a T-shirt of the pistol and all that stuff and the colors with all that were really, really cool. And you forgot about how fun that team was. They weren't very good record-wise, but they had, again, an expansion team. They went through some growing pains, but they were fun and that great logo.
Yeah, absolutely. So without further ado, let's get into it. Dad, who is catching for you? Is it Craig Biggio or someone else?
Craig Biggio.
Ooh, so I'm very curious to see who's going to be at second base. Craig Biggio is not my catcher. So why is he your catcher? Let's talk about catcher and second base because let's just go a little off script. So who's your second baseman?
Jose Altuve.
Okay. Keep going. I just want to listen. I have a lot of questions, and I'm sure you do at home too.
You take away the last, the controversy and what they were fined for and everything else. He was just a little spark plug for the Astros as they got better. He joined the team when they weren't very good.
Yep.
And he was, the star, and, during that time. So I took his career as a whole and what he meant to that team, rising from the ashes of the National League, winning 50 games a season, to, where he was. He was a star then and all that. So, to me, there's other people that were, very good at second base, but I think what he has done lately with the batting, great, always the 300s, and what he meant to that team, pretty good. And again, he comes with a little asterisk about he's one of the bad boys of, the playoffs and everything else with the drums and the beating and all that stuff.
The trash cans.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trash can is the real MVP of this team. I'm just kidding. There'll be a few Astros jokes. So, does that mean you think Jose Altuve is better defensively than Craig Biggio? Because he got the start at second. Or are you only caring about Craig's offensive stats? And you're like, I guess I'll put him at catcher because
I didn't have a better catcher for them.
Okay.
Overall, I thought Biggio was all the names that I saw, he was the best catcher of the names I saw.
Okay. Since we're going to talk about both positions, I'm actually going to talk about second first. I chose Craig Biggio as my second baseman. I find, regardless if Jose Altuve is innocent of any accusation, I still would have chose Craig Biggio. Altuve is better offensively, I agree with that, but holistically looking, Craig Biggio, I love the stat that most hit by pitches by anyone, so that's, I think, a cool thing. 4-time Gold Gloves, Jose Altuve, I think, doesn't have any or only one, so Craig's significantly better defensively, and all those Gold Gloves came at second, not catcher or center field. Craig Biggio also has 3,000 hits and 7-time All-Star. I'm not saying Altuve can't redeem himself or get to that level, but I'm going with the proven talent. Altuve is still too young, in my opinion, to be on this list. Okay. So the 2017 Houston Astros, just a heads up, will not be on my list. I don't have a single member of the 2017 World Series team, partially because of some cheating allegations and partially because I don't know if they've been able to knock off some other people on this list. I mean, it's not like the Rays or the Colorado Rockies, where you have a limited people to choose from, you're looking at 50 years of talent to choose from, and I just think there's better talent. So for catching, it's Brad Ausmus. He's a 3-time Gold Glover, most games as an Astros catcher, so I'm going defense over offense here by excluding Altuve from my starters.
Okay. I didn't take a look, but split. I think Craig had more games at second base than catcher, or more games at catcher than second base?
So he did his first 4 years at catcher.
Okay.
Bulk of his career at second base, and ended his career as a center fielder.
What a great athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. Who ends their career in center field?
Yeah.
Even center fielders end their field like in lefties.
And did a good job.
Right, yeah.
We're talking about, learning different positions. That's how talented he was. So, okay.
So let us know what your thoughts are on catcher and second base. I mean, there's going to be a lot of debates with the Astros for a while now, but
I know.
But I think what we can agree on is first base. Jeff Bagwell, Hall of Famer, easy choice for first base, Rookie of the Year, Gold Glover, MVP, 4-time All-Star, almost a lifetime 300 average.
Yeah, I think he was a trade from the Red Sox.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Red Sox.
Yeah. So, I mean, think about what a great trade that was for the Astros. He became, for 12 to 14 years, the centerpiece of the Astros. Mm-hmm. So I think he was fantastic. And again, liked to play baseball. He also got hit by pitchers quite a bit.
That whole team did.
Yeah. They all wore the big elbow brace, by the way. And it's always fun when they came up. They had his plate of armor on their left-hand elbow, and they got popped a good bit. Mm-hmm. But, that was when they had a fun team. For reasons they were called the Killer Bees. And it's just fun to watch them.
Yeah.
So, he's... Without a doubt, I didn't even have anything in number 2 other than Bagwell.
Yeah. So for shortstop, who do you have?
Carlos Correa. Big.
I'm ready to debate Correa, so go ahead.
Big shortstop.
Yep.
Again, came out of the era of now the shortstops are 6'3", 6'4".
He's 6'5", I think.
Yeah, 210, 215, athletic, can get in a hole, have a gun and everything else. The shortstops, when I started watching baseball, were all 175 pounds, 5'11", and now they've gone into an offensive juggernaut, and he's one of those people who have carried that tradition, great athletes, but how that position has changed over the years to encompass a much larger athlete. Shortstop, when I grew up, man, hit 200, fine. As long as you could play short, make the routine play, you're fine. The Belangers and all those people in its day. But now it's like a third baseman. They're expected to hit 20 to 30 home runs. So he fits that mode. And I just think he was a great draft choice, and he was number 1 overall. Mm-hmm. And just a great player.
I think I share your anticipation or hope for Correa to have a great career. I think the comparisons to him and Jeter are valid, although I don't think he will live up to that expectation. So he's really played 4 years of professional baseball in terms of Major League Baseball for the Astros. He's got a ring, but 2 of those 4 seasons were cut short by injury. So being so big, you're also more vulnerable to injury.
Yeah.
He's really only had 2 full seasons. Not the greatest average. Not the greatest power potential. Defense is good. I give him that. But again, just for me, largely unproven at this point. History of shortstops are not great. I think it will be Correa at some point with the Astros. I went with a fan favorite, Dickie Thon. Again, no one really has great numbers, so I'm not going to argue any of these are great picks here. I just went with someone that could be a fun throwback for the fans at home.
Very popular Astro.
The lineup that I'll have is plenty great offensively, so I'll put in someone that is pretty solid. Like you said, the shortstops you grew up with.
Yeah, and he was a tiny shortstop. So yeah, get good. I'm glad I prefaced everything for you.
You're just setting me up, and I'm knocking them down. For third base, I went with Ken Caminiti. Again, we're talking about allegations. I don't think so. Ken 100% did steroids in San Diego, but if you look at his Astros numbers, both how he bookended his career, he never hit above 20 home runs as a Houston Astro. It was like 40-some one year in San Diego, and then he had like high 30s. So I don't think he ever cheated in a Houston Astros uniform. I think it was all as a Padres thing. So he was good defensively too. So I'm choosing Ken as my third baseman.
I went with Doug Radar.
Okay, tell me a little bit more about Doug Radar.
He was the star when the Astros weren't very good. He was like the lone all-star representative for years with the Astros when they were not good at all. And again, played the hot corner and everything else, and was really like the only one during that. And as I looked through the third baseman, all that stuff, I thought he was the most consistent. I didn't want to put Bregman there because I am not a Bregman fan, by the way.
He's cocky.
That's yes. So I did not want to put him in the category. So I looked at other categories, and Doug came out as a very steady, and he played there for like 12 years, and he was a very popular Astro. So I went with Doug.
All right, shift into the outfield, left field. Where are you going?
Jose Cruz.
I think you're a Jose Cruz fan. I think I've seen you talk about him in other facets.
Again, a left-handed hitter, did a great job. Again, one of the great stars when they weren't the greatest. Mm-hmm. But again, consistently played the outfield very well, hit very well, and again, just a real steady influence on teams that weren't the greatest.
Yeah, I think Cruz would be my fourth or fifth outfielder here. I went with Lance Berkman. I think there's a lot of places you could put him. You could put him as a DH. You could put him as a right fielder. I mean, not center. Don't put him at center. But he played a lot of the corner positions, a little bit more left than right. Six-time All-Star, was really just a doubles machine. Killing the Cubs
really was.
When he was the national. No, seriously, when he was a National League. I mean, he's not legging it out for a triple, but he was really fun to watch.
Yeah.
With the Bagwells, the Biggios, the Berkmans, the Killer Bees.
Yeah.
They all deserve a spot on the starting lineup.
Yeah.
For center, so I went with a little bit of speed here and a little bit of defense, but Cesar Cedeno. So again, just someone that popped out to me. I had Jim Wynn at first, but I'm going to find a place for Mr. Wynn later. But I went with Cedeno in center.
I went with Jimmy Wynn.
Okay.
And the toy cannon.
Yeah.
And recently passed away, unfortunately. But again, when they were starting with the Colt 45s and the Astros, he was the man. And he was a Willie Mays prototype. And the Astrodome was humongous back then, by the way. And it really took a hell of a pop to get out of the Astrodome. Yeah. And I don't know if we'll have time to tell the story of why the Astrodome was the first dome stadium. Like, it's a cute story. But
sure. The people at home want to know, Dad.
But Jimmy Wynn was, was the guy. And you can't make a lineup with the Astros without him in the lineup.
I agree with that. I'm getting ahead of myself here. We're kind of going a little out of order. But he's my DH. Just Cedeno is better defensively for me than Wynn.
They cover more ground.
Yeah. Gold gloves. Right field. Close it out.
Well, you forgot the killer bee, Derek Bell.
I did forget. He's a fourth killer bee, if anything, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
But he was still part of
Yeah. So you picked him as a right fielder?
I did. And again, very underrated because of all the stars on the team. But again, very important in the success of the Astros back in the day. But I just like the way he played.
Yeah. I went with Hunter Pence. Again, kind of like a fan favorite here. How can you not like Hunter Pence? There's a whole thing that was about 6-7 years ago, the Hunter Pence signs that people just would come to stadiums and make fun of Hunter Pence. He's a good guy. He played right field really well and a little bit above average defense, above average speed, above average. So just an all around, I think, good addition to this team. I didn't go with Reddick here. I thought Reddick really has kind of lost a lot of that potential, and I think if given between those two people, I'd choose Pence.
Okay.
Yeah, Pence has more power too.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Pence had a pretty stellar career. 3 teams that I know he played on, so he played till his mid to late 30s.
He's still playing.
I know he is. Rangers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that tells you a whole lot.
Rangers, Giants, Phillies, Astros. Yeah, I think that's 4 teams.
I mean that he's got talent.
Yeah, he's fun. He's
unorthodox swing, but it seemed to work.
Yeah. I talked about my DH already. Who's yours?
Lance Berkman.
Okay.
Yeah. I had to put him somewhere because he was so good. He played, like you said, the corner outfield slots and all that stuff, but he was renowned for his bat. So that's the reason why I put him at DH, just because I thought that was a comfort level for him. And back in the day, we got just talk about names and everything else. There's a player called Enos Cabell. And he was a tall, skinny guy that played with the Orioles for a little bit too, but didn't hit a whole lot of home runs, but always hitting the 300s. Always competed for batting titles. But just the name Enos Cabell. That's when I saw that, I said I got to put him in somewhere.
Got to put Enos in.
That's right.
Got to put Enos in. Moving to the pitching staff. A lot of great starters here. But who are you picking?
I think Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, Nolan Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Down the list, there was some really good ones
Yeah.
with 1B and 1C and all that.
Clemens,
But
Oswald.
yeah, but you gotta go with Nolan just because
Yep.
I think of all the teams he pitched for, the Astros were the team they relate Nolan to.
Yeah.
And he loved
Angels.
pitching in Houston, and just he wore the great uniforms.
Mm-hmm. He did.
So he loved taking a baseball, and he
Yeah.
just threw hard until he couldn't throw anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's why I chose Nolan Ryan. Like, multiple people on the Astros all-time team, look at the wins. I mean, there's many pitchers above him that have more wins. There's many pitchers above him that served a longer time and have more strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't hold, as far as I know, any pitching title with Houston. He never had a Cy Young with them. He's not known. In fact, he had 2 losing seasons as an Astro, but it's still Nolan Ryan. And I think that aspect of it, that if you had to give the ball for one game, do you give it to Nolan, Roger Clemens, or Roy Oswald? It's Nolan Ryan. And it's a little bit of faith. It's not judged in statistics here. It's judged on gut.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Nolan was with the Astros when they weren't that good.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a whole lot of offense.
He had, I think, 2 seasons of plus 10 losses, which is so atypical for him.
Yeah, and he probably was a 2-1 game, something like that. He was facing the number one, starter in the other team, and it was just a battle. And they didn't have a whole lot of offense, but man, can you imagine facing him and you didn't know where the ball was going?
Yeah. You're scared. I mean, it's the reality of baseball.
Yeah, the 100 miles an hour right in your ribs.
Yeah, Jordan Hicks, Aroldis Chapman, then it was Ryan, then it was Johnson. It's just you don't want to get hit by these guys.
Yeah, you curl up.
So, considering we're taking the best of Ryan, even though of the best Ryan Astros, probably is not going to get us through 9 innings. Who is your setup man and closer?
Setup Dave Smith, closer Billy Wagner.
Got to go with the closer here with Billy Wagner. He's the best Astros closer in history. I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But I went with Brad Lidge as my setup. So, let us know what you thought about our pitching staff. But pretty similar there. I got no issues. No Doug Brokaw.
No,
Sorry.
no.
But
the name we didn't mention, he was really good with the Astros, Bobby Abreu.
Yeah, he made our Phillies, or at least made my Phillies team. I don't know about yours.
But, I mean, think about a great name, and it gets lost in that outfield with all those great names and everything else. I was trying to put him in a slot, and I just couldn't fit him in anywhere. But just a great player over the years.
Yeah. Who's your manager? Who's leading this team?
Art Howe.
Okay, so he would understand. Yeah, we were talking last time about finding someone that understands modern baseball.
Yeah.
Cool. I had Phil Gardner, so another person that understands modern baseball. Again, not a lot of people that are popping up in terms of super talent of managerial history on this team. So let us know if you like Garner or Howe. And then anything else about Howe?
I want to tell my story about the Astrodome if I can.
Sure, I'll get the logos ready.
The reason why the Astrodome was the first covered stadium in the major leagues, apparently Houston is at kind of like of course, close to the bayou and everything else with the Gulf of Mexico. Apparently the mosquitoes are so huge in Houston, at nighttime they come out and they could not have people sit in the stadium for 9 innings and get slaughtered by the mosquitoes. That's the main reason
That's fun.
The Astrodome was built, was because of mosquitoes.
Not surprised.
And the heat.
The fact that it's still there. The Astrodome is still, it's not destroyed yet. It's looking pretty bad. Sad that I never got to go to Astro World, which is a little theme park right across the street. I thought that was kind of cool. The city of Houston actually seems a lot of fun, and really any generation.
And growing. I think it's the 4th largest city now.
Yeah, but I think that's the cool idea that there was supposed to be a whole weekend you could do baseball, and then the Astro World with the family. I like that. I don't know any theme parks next to major ballparks, so I think that's kind of cool. So different with different logos of the Astros. Dad, what's your favorite here?
I like the Astros with
Me too. Like the true Astrodome. We got some stuff in orbit. I like that too.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, I love it. I have memories of each of these logos, if that makes any sense. But that 77 to 94 logo is iconic. That's when the uniforms came out. So we got to go with in my opinion, the best uniforms in baseball history. Yeah. Oakland's is tight too.
I agree. I mean, when they had the multicolored jersey, and it was really fun. And they went out and everybody, you think about the plain Janes in the world that had just like a little logo and all that stuff. The Astros were just the opposite of that.
Be different.
And, yes, and it was fun and it was radiant.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching. Let us know what you thought of our predictions. Pretty different here. A lot of things to debate about. Left off every single World Series winner of 2017 on mine. No Altuve, no Bregman, no Springer. And you left off Bregman. What do you think about his
Springer.
Biggio as catcher? No Ausmus.
He was a number 2.
Yeah, that's a fair number 2. But, just let us know. I mean, we're always interested to see what other baseball fans think or true Astros fans think. And again, if you just became an Astros fan in 2017, you don't qualify to talk in this conversation. You have to have some deep team history to talk about some of these players we're talking about. And I think true fans are people that are with them through the rough years. And if you've been with us through the rough years, then please have a conversation, and we're willing to listen.
Oh, I couldn't have said it better.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.